Hey there, welcome back to the Smell of Logic channel. This is Ramona, and this is part 2 of the strange animal encounters. Uh, gonna do some more stories. Hope you are enjoying these. If you do, we'll check out a whole bunch more. There's plenty here on the channel for you to find something that I'm sure will amuse you or entertain you. But let's go ahead and jump right into it. Ready? Part 2, Story 1. I have a thing with birds, always have been around me, in my home, etc. In my previous house, I had a pigeon and 2 other finches, all at different times, in my home. I had a clutch of baby birds that couldn't fly yet, loose in my yard. I found a baby quail that I had to bring to a rescue. In my current home, I've had baby doves fall out of the nest, and it was a whole ordeal to protect them from my dog. One night, I was in my living room, and a bird was pecking at my back window for over an hour, even after I turned off the lights, trying not to catch its attention. One time I was telling a friend about my bird experiences, and later that day she came over to hang out. We were sitting on my back patio, and a little finch hopped towards me from the dark into the light of my patio, and just sat for about 2 feet away from me and stared. My friend said, "Holy crap, you weren't kidding." I don't know why, but I said, "It's dying." It sat there until she left. The next morning, it was about 2 feet from where I'd last seen it, dead. Last events, I'd I've twice been sitting in school in a pickup line with my window down, and a bird was landed on the side view mirror and just stared at me. Another flew into my window and right back out. Story 2. A few years ago, I was house sitting for a family friend in the country. They had an old golden retriever named Max. Every night, Max would sleep at the foot of my bed. But one night, I woke up around 2 a.m. to Max standing rigidly in the doorway, growling lowly and staring down at the hallway. I got up, thinking maybe a raccoon had got inside or something. As I stepped into the hall, Max suddenly darted past me and stood in front of the guest room door, barking like I'd never heard before. The thing is, that room is always locked, and when I tried the handle, it was wide open. Inside, the window was cracked open, and the muddy handprints were smeared across the sill and the floor. Max never went near that room again. Neither did I. Story 3. I've posted a couple times about it already. I think that what I may have seen was a previous cat because he totally would have done this. I was chilling on the sofa, recovering from COVID, and my dog was sleeping on the other one across from me. I was watching TV. From the corner of my eye, I saw this black void thing jump from the top of the sofa, land on the dog in 2 spots, and disappear into the sofa. I would have thought it was nothing, just my imagination, but the dog jumped up like WTF was that, sniffed herself where I thought I had seen it land on her. Story 4. My dog will go anywhere in the house, no problem. He will not dare to take one single step into the basement. He will sit at the top and cry and freak out every time I go down there until I come back up. He'll sometimes randomly just stare at the basement door intently for a long time. Story 5. I have a black dog, and I live in a house where strange things happen sometimes, like seeing someone cross the corridor, hearing children laughing, and running through the house when I am alone. And she sometimes just stares at some points and starts moving her head like she's listening to someone, and she just starts barking and tries to hide under the couch. Story 6. Not really scary, but definitely weird. My cat Biggs. He was my soul cat. We were lying in my room on my bed at night. All curtains and shades were closed. He was relaxed. Then he just sits up. His eyes get really big. He looks at the window, lowers his tail, and then hides under the bed. I look at the window and I don't see anything weird. I even look outside my window and there is nothing there. I tried to get him to come out from under my bed, but he wouldn't. Not long after that he passed away. I always wonder what he saw that terrified him. Story 7. It wasn't exactly scary, but after my cat passed away, I was having some kind of sleep paralysis, and I could feel him walking along my back. I was asleep on my side. Initially, I thought it felt like someone was tucking me in, so I figured out, because nobody in my family would do that, I just realized it was more familiar. Another time with the same cat when he was alive. Not a scary story, but I was walking to my mate's house with plans to trip on acid for the first time. He followed me halfway there, meowing, which he'd never done before. Lo and behold, the acid was the worst thing I'd ever done, and I can't help but feel like he was trying to tell me to come home, or at least not do it. Story 8. Not scary, just strange. My boyfriend and I were taking care of his parents' super old and fat cat, Big Mama, in our apartment because they had to move and they couldn't take her with them. She was a stray who came to them, and they adopted her. She had a great life, loved being outside, loved catching mice, and leaving them for her family as gifts. She'd leave them on the front steps or back porch. We had her for a year until she suddenly passed away and even had a stroke. I was with her at the vet when she took her last breaths, petting her. Even though we only had her for a year, we loved her so much. A couple of days later, I checked our mailbox in the apartment lobby. I found a tiny dead mouse in there, hiding behind the mail, with no explanation as to how it could have gotten in there. I think Big Mama left us one last gift. Story 9. My cat unintentionally became a familiar at some point, protecting me from evil a few times. I wonder if I accidentally helped my cat when she nearly died from a sudden disease. Story 10. I had 3 cats randomly run up to me at once, all meowing loudly while walking down the street, tripping on shrooms. They circled me, then ran off. That really freaked me out. They must have known. Story 11. We had a dog that would stare at a corner of our first house. We had a plant I received as a gift at my mother's funeral in that corner, a peace lily. Stella, the dog, would just stare at that corner for a long time. At some point, we moved the plant away from the wall a bit because it grew. She started walking around and around the plant in circles. We chalked it up to the fact that she liked the feeling of the leaves on her back. Story 12. My dad told me this story, which happened when I was about 9. One night after midnight, my brother and I were sleeping in our own rooms, and my parents were sleeping in their room across the hall. My dad hears something and wakes up. He thinks it's just me and my brother using the bathroom, so he gets up to check, but we are both sound asleep. He gets back in bed, and then my cat starts hissing at the empty hallway with his hair standing up, and my dad sees a glimmer across the pictures hanging in the hallway. There are no windows in the hall, and there were no lights on. He said it was a really freaky experience. Story 13. My childhood home has a ghost in it. It wasn't even harmless, just some spooky stuff. My dad once heard the front door open and close and heard footsteps walking upstairs. When he went to check, no one was home and the door was locked. I once heard footsteps walking downstairs late at night and thinking it was my dad. I quickly turned on my phone and pretended I was asleep. My door opened and I felt someone staring at me. A few minutes went by and I opened my eyes and no one was there. More than once, my dog would look out from my room into the deep, dark downstairs area, growling and barking when the rest of the house was asleep. Another instance, she refused to leave onto my bed at night. She slept with me every night. Even when I tried to pick her up and bring her to my bed, she hunkered down and stared into the corner above my bed. Needless to say, I had trouble sleeping that night. Story 14. I was babysitting my cousin while my family was at a Christmas party, and he was asleep. I spent some time cleaning up. I was in the kitchen wiping down counters, tucking in all the chairs from dinner. After everything was put away, I sat on the couch and started reading. It was really quiet. And then suddenly 2 golden retrievers ran into the kitchen and started barking loudly. I was so startled, and then I went to see what they were barking at, and a single chair was pulled back fully from the counter like someone was sitting in it. I think a demonic presence followed my aunt between a couple of her houses for a while, because stuff like this would happen a lot when I was at her place. Well, that's pretty freaky. Hope you have enjoyed these stories. If you did, please maybe leave a like or a comment below. If you're interested in any of my coloring books or in the books that I've written and stuff like that, there are links in the description of every video that I have for my Amazon authors page. Go check those out. Maybe you find something you might like. And if not, please go check out another video. I appreciate your time and listening to this, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.